recent arrest of a Newclare mom accused of giving her 4-year-old child drugs has brought into focus again the issue of child abuse and neglect. A video went viral showing the child smoking what is believed to be Mandrax through a bottleneck pipe. But there are issues in the community of violence and child endangerment. Activists are saying that government support is scarce to none. Joining us now is Community Activist Natalie Solomons and Provincial Program Head, Child Protection Services at the Department of Social Development, Daphne Naidoo. To the both of you, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. Natalie, one of the reasons we invited you to come this morning after the court appearance of that mother accused of giving her 4-year-old drugs is that there's a lot of anger around the incident. I just want to play an excerpt of what we heard outside court yesterday.
On my way here, I received a call from a lady that actually said to me, Melissa, what do you do in this instance? And this is the very same lady that is helping so many people in the community, Natalie Solomons. You know, she has a woman empowerment platform and she's been running that organization for years, taking kids from our broken community and mending their broken hearts, fixing them up. You know, Social Development Provincial Office has still not given her a compliance certificate. After she has been confirmed liable for those children's lives, she can still not take care of them. You know why? Because they want to see broken families. They want to see broken children. They want to see our communities going backwards.
All right, Natalie, I'll bring you in there. You have been working, as we've heard from other community activists in the community for years now. Tell us what you see and why you decided to do something about it.
Well, the incident with the little boy that everybody saw going viral, that is something that is like a norm that is happening every day. So that is nothing new for us. We're just thankful that this thing went viral because it exposed what is happening every day in that community.
Daphne, let me bring you in, and I'm sure, again, you know, being in the space, you see this all the time. What is the situation in communities like Westbury and Newclare say to you about the broader state of child protection?
Iman, I think we've always highlighted when it comes to child abuse. To be honest with you, child abuse is rife. And it has been rife for a long time in communities. However, let me also make it very clear that, and I've said this on many platforms, it does not just take government to address the issues. It comes back to families, comes back to communities. And when we look at the system, the schools, it's all of us that needs to address this issue. Yes, absolutely. I mean, one child is one child too many. But to say that government is not coming on board, that is not a true reflection. Because we do have, beside government, we do have our affiliates, which is our child protection organization. And many, by the way, this province is one of the provinces that the highest numbers of MPOs that we have affiliated with to address the various social ills within communities. And I just want to highlight, I think the lady that spoke earlier on around the compliance of Natalie's organization, look, it's not the Social Development Department that looks at the compliance documents, it's your municipalities that gives you the various compliance documents. You come in and you register so that you are legislatively required to ensure there's compliance in order to get registration. So we can't have, and let me make this clear, it's quite wonderful to see that, you know, community members wants to come on board, wants to make sure they're compliant, but I think the really critical point here is the compliance, so that we don't have, you know, later on where there's issues around the care, protection and rights of children, we go back and say, but why didn't you do due diligence around the prescripts of the requirements for you to be registered to render certain services?
Yeah, and Daphne and Natalie, what I really am aiming for in our conversation is to be really constructive in ways that everyone works together and to be able to share with the community members who are watching this morning what they can do. I can appreciate, Daphne, when you say that, you know, it's not just a government issue, it is a community issue, it is a family issue, it is a multidisciplinary issue. But Natalie, you know, when we think about your context and in the environment that you're working in, you're saying you are stepping up as the community, but you do need the other support that comes from government. So just share with us, Natalie's just said that the compliance, for example, certificates don't come from her department, they come from elsewhere. So please just talk to us about your response to what she has said, and whether there is an understanding of who is empowered to provide what in order to give you the support that you need to work directly with communities.
Look here, Daphne knows me. I've contacted her various times. So I know with what she's saying of it's not just social development. I've got my consent usage from development planning, from the Department of Health, your food certificate, your health certificate, your occupational health and safety, your fire certificate, your social worker certificates, your child and youth care certificates. I can go on and on and on with the list. Daphne's department is sitting with my full file, with the full compliance. It's going now into my 4th year. So we as community, we get frustrated. I'm busy with my honors through SACAP. I'm doing my honors in social work so that in every way, we as community activists, we can be compliant in every way. But from their side, I've been shunned. I can show you. I can show you emails. I can show you stats of how I'm going and connecting with social development on all levels. But I just get a closed door from them all the time. And I know Daphne can say all these things here to us, but we're working on the ground. They're sitting in offices. The only time they come out is when there's programs. And I'm not sitting here today because I want to be in bad or have a bad relationship with Daphne, but I'm also frustrated. I've been doing this for a while. I can show you me even asking for funding from them. Faith Mazibuki is asking me to send documentations to them. I send. And you know what? We're at a place where we feel, am I not black enough? And we don't want to bring in the race card because as a colored community, we feel that we've been shunned and we've been put aside from social development.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for a long time.
Natalie,
I'll give you an example now.
Hold on, I'm going to come back in there. And Daphne, I'm going to get your response to that in a moment. You are one of many other community members and organizations, Natalie, that do the kind of work that you do. Why is it important that you are empowered to do what you do? Talk to us about the people that you are helping every day.
So I'm helping little children. I help elderly. And the work is just becoming more, and it's almost as if community is putting their trust in me, in Melissa, in a Adeline, in a Shamila, in a Carmen, in community members, because government is not doing anything. They're not helping us. I'm one of people that I can show stats of how government is not helping me. They tell you to go to this in Bizo, to this, to that, sign up, do. We do. They're not helping us. And you know what? I can sit here and I know social development, they're probably angry with me. So the more you speak out, the more they shunt you. And that is how I'm feeling about social development. Community has lost their trust in social development. On Sunday, people called me from Yeovil police station. They wanting to give up their children. Now, I know what I've been through with social development because of taking children from the street. They rather have the children on the street than in a facility where they're safe, where there's clean water. And I know Daphne's told me a few times, stop posting children. I said, what must we do? These children are on the street, so you'll rather have them on the street. You know what? I can write a book of what I've experienced with social development.
Natalie, let me come in there. So, Daphne, I mean, there are a series of things, and I'm sure, given the work that you're doing, as you say, you pointed out to us in the beginning, that, you know, the work in the province is probably amongst the best work that's done countrywide by social development and partners. How do we credibly help organizations like Natalie's? She has the background, she has a myriad of qualifications that she has shared with us, saying that other members in the community who do similar work have also done and, you know, jumped through as many hurdles as they possibly can to ensure that they meet all the benchmarks, check all the boxes. As you listen to this morning, what can we do to ensure that they're given the resources that they need to do the work which they've been doing historically in the community? Not just the paperwork, but get the funding, get the money that will keep them operational and open to credibly, daily help people in their communities.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issue is to look at the compliance and why is the compliance there? Because ultimately, you must understand, Iman, is that it's for the protection of those children. And it is also a legislative requirement. So it's by law that these things are required. But it's not just put there just because of wanting to have hurdles and not have people come in to assist. There's many ways. I mean, Natalie knows that she has come to the department. I may not have worked with her directly in terms of her application, but certainly, in terms of the compliance, it's not just her, it's everyone that had to go through that process. And yes, it can be a very tedious if you don't have things upfront, already in place. But nevertheless, there's different ways. I mean, I've spoken to Natalie personally myself and said, look, if you want to then take on children, you can go in as private temporary safe care until you can become compliant to take on as a child and youth care center, which is then becomes a legislative requirements in terms of not just the daily care of children, but also in terms of your infrastructure and so forth. I mean, those are things that one can look at. But certainly, I think the department is continue to work with Natalie to see how far we can assist and what is then the requirement. Natalie is fully aware the issue lies not just with us in the department and the compliance documents, but there's other issues, and the matter is sitting with the court as well, which she clearly is aware of. But here where I want to also focus on with communities is and especially with the fact that with this child and what is it that communities needs to know. I mean, like you heard me saying earlier on, it takes not just government, but it takes the communities, it takes the families and so forth, because we rely on those people. And let me also be very clear, I do not just sit in my office and at least fully aware of this. We have been on the ground, we've been into homes, we've been into where the children are, we've been on the streets, so we know the realities that is being there. I mean, just now we've seen El Dorado Park at a intervention where we had to go into homes and remove children, just this past weekend or the past few days that has happened. So clearly the issues that we're having with communities, the fact that they need to know, first of all, what are the signs? How do you pick up these abuse? Because it's not as clear cut as one think it is. The signs are there. You need to know what it is.
All right.
Then you further need to know where to report these things, and also where if people are not coming on board, like myself as public servants, you need to know your rights, you need to know what is it that I'm supposed to be doing to hold me accountable as well.
All right, Daphne, so again, Natalie's told us it's taken 4 years around this issue of compliance. When you said that everyone has to play their part, this is what they're doing. These are just women in the community who, prior to taking on the issues in their own communities, didn't have, different qualifications and so on. They've pursued all of that to legitimate the work that they do and to credibly help. So when you talk about partnerships, that's what she's doing. How do we help an organization like hers? How do we help her to short circuit all of this red tape? It is 4 years later. What can she do? How can you help them to close the circle on the documents that they need to then be fully functional and then be able to qualify for other grants and funding?
Yeah, we have done that as well. There's continuations and waivers we have done on giving conditional registration instead of full registration and so forth. But let me also be honest with you. We've got a lot of organizations that has come in who has not been compliant, and we find years later we're still sitting with non-compliant, where there has been a will to say, but we will try to address these things within a year, 2 years, 3 years. And I promise you, to tell you, 10 years down the line, we're still having organizations that are not compliant in terms of getting their requirements. And it's like I said to you, it's not just a departmental thing, it's not Mrs. Naidu's thing. It is a legislative requirement. And but we have put those things in place. I think Natalie is full aware that when we've sat with the department, we said these were the requirements. Now, unfortunately, when you look at the number of the compliance documents, which is a legislative requirement, it does cost time, and it does take time
but
and
4
money to get
years,
these documents.
but 4 years, Daphne, this is why, I mean, there's a problem on the ground. There's an emergency that's happening. We've got to find a way to fast track. And I can appreciate the point that when you're dealing with children, you're dealing with minors, really sensitive things, you have to make sure that you have your governance right. Natalie, I unfortunately, to the both of you, out of time this morning, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to respond, and maybe we can get an opportunity to continue this with Daphne's assistance as well, to be able to get to a place where, all of the boxes have been checked and you can function in the way that fully creates that impact in the community you want to create. What are your final thoughts?
So I'm hearing everything that Daphne's saying. They wanted me to have the children removed that was in the facility. I did that. They were supposed to come collect these children. They never had another facility to take these children. I was then forced to take these children back to the environment. The one little boy almost lost his life because me taking the child back to that environment. I had to bring these children back into my care. Social development said they were going to give me a temporary certificate. I still don't have it. I've got these children back in my care. I'm going to be appearing in court in September for these children with court orders. I had to even bring families in. So I hear everything Daphne's saying, but I still don't have the certificate, knowing that I've done everything. Even my sponsor that was on board pulled out because of a lack of compliance of just this one certificate. So I've put in everything. I put my whole life into this. And I'm sitting in a place where one of my children was even removed from a school because of payments. I'm besides myself, and I'm so tired of all these things that Daphne's saying now. Yet it's always they're doing nothing. Right now, social development is doing nothing. They said to me they're going to give me my temporary certificate. I still don't have it.
Okay,
so
I'm gonna have to leave it there, but I do appreciate the good faith, Daphne, that you had in coming. Natalie, to you as well. It is the tip of the iceberg. It's a story we mustn't let go of, because that's where the rubber hits the road. Is when community members, take the challenge in their communities into their own hands and try to do something. They do need the partnership with all of those agencies, Daphne, you were sharing with us. So we will definitely follow this one up and see how we can bring this to a head. Appreciate you both. Natalie Solomons, community activist in the Westbury and Newclare areas, and Daphne Naidu is from the Department of Social Development.